Welcome to the questions and responses for the Quadriceps, True Health Tuesday. Question 1 from Seek4AMK729. If the right leg is swollen with no acute injury, where should one look to correct it? The foot does not work to help get up from a squat. Oh, this is brilliant. Okay, when you're looking at the right leg and the left leg, not only are they completely different, I know you're going to say one's right, one's left. No, the right leg actually has less blood pressure than the left, slightly less. It's interesting that we see blood toxicity show up in the right leg more than the left. Gout, diabetes, blood toxicities are going to show up there. And then if your calf is malfunctioned, because when you're looking at the right leg swelling, you've got a pump in the back of the calf called the soleus. There's 3 muscles that attach that Achilles tendon to the calcaneus. So when you're looking at this, it's called the triceps array, the Achilles tendon. That soleus has a pump in it. So with loss of dorsiflexion of the foot, that leg can start to swell up and you're going to have altered mechanics. So you have to look at everything. And this is also where varicose veins come from, because you've got deep veins in that soleus. And if those deep veins aren't functioning correctly, then the superficial veins, the veins on the surface, will be used twice as much as they should be. This is why you can also get after varicose veins by checking blood toxicity. And remember, when you're looking at blood toxicity, you got 4 things that detox the system. You got respiration, perspiration, bowel movements, and urination. So if you're in a stressed state, those can be altered. And then you have to look at the nerves that come out of the low back and pelvis that supply those foot biomechanics. And the foot biomechanics are going to directly equate to the strength of the leg muscles, such as the quadriceps, hamstrings, everything involved in getting up from that squat. So look at the lumbar, look at the pelvis, look at the dorsiflexion of the foot, look at those altered foot biomechanics, look at blood toxicity. That's why we say you got to look at physical, chemical, emotional stress. That right leg swelling is a clue to a dysfunction. Where's that dysfunction? Could it be from some type of toxicity reaction, some type of altered mechanics? But you have to look at everything. Look at the lumbar, pelvis, altered biomechanics of the calf, look at altered biomechanics of the foot. And one of the cool ways to see if there is altered nerve supply is look at that big toe. If that big toe is leaning towards the other one, could mean compromised nerve supply to the intrinsic muscles of the foot. So look everywhere and you're going to find the solution to that. Just look at that right leg swelling has an alarm to overall metabolic processes that could be altered along with the biomechanic processes of the foot, the calf, and pelvic and lumbar issues. Question 2 from Guadalupe Camacho 9140. The chronic burning about 4 times a week of my feet and sometimes legs keeps me awake at night. Any advice? Thank you, Lupe. Lupe, let's get you healthy. So when you look at this, electrical burning, sharp, and shooting are all nerve pinch pains or neurologic pains. So when you look at the burning and the foot, those nerves that come out of that area come out of the pelvis and lumbar area. So you have to look at dysfunction of the lumbar. And this means static and stress x-rays, bending one side, bending to the other side is going to clue you into an area of lumbar dysfunction. That's not where you got to stop. You got to look at everything. Think of if you've had a past trauma in the thoracic, and I see this all the time, from a lateral thoracic deviation. Now, this could be an alteration in how your brain views the body in space, or proprioception, or could be from a past trauma. There could be an antalgic lean. And I see this all the time. Some type of forward head carriage, loss of curve in the neck, thoracic deviation, changes that force loading on the lumbar, and then that's going to compromise the nerve supply to the feet. Now, then you have to look at the altered mechanics of that foot itself. Because if you're missing the full range of motion of that, then the calf muscle isn't going to be functioning. The intrinsic muscles of the foot could also be compromised. Flattening out the arches creating a burning pain on the bottom of the foot. Because remember, the arches of the foot are maintained by the muscles. And if you compromise the nerve supply, then the foot starts to flatten out. And the fascia on the bottom of the foot, called plantar fascia, can start to inflame because it's being used beyond its design parameters. And then that's why they call it fasciitis, so plantar fasciitis. But knowing that this is happening when you're asleep, okay, you've got to know that it's going to be coming from the lumbar and pelvis, but you've got to know why it's there. So you got to look at the whole structure, then you're going to find the problem. And then look at our sleep restriction videos, because there's a way to reset your circadian rhythms so you can get the deep sleep. But first, look at this as not a problem. This is an alarm to some type of process that your body is telling you that there's something wrong. This is why I'm totally opposed with looking at burning pain of the foot as a problem of the foot. It is just an alarm telling you that there is something else going on. And Lupe, when you're looking at the entire structure, then you're going to find the source of this alarm. Question 3 from Roos 9032. Hi, Doc. I'm from Southern Africa. I have to go for a hip replacement because of cartilage condition. Now my right knee is giving me hell, as well as my ankle. Please, what can I do? When you look at cartilage replacement, or you look at cartilage damage, understand that cartilage is living tissue. Now, knowing that all of this stuff is going along on one side, it means that you've been walking crooked. So this means that there could be not only just altered mechanics of that right leg, right knee, right foot, there's going to be a pelvic issue as well. So when you're looking at those altered mechanics, you have to look at the lumbar, you got to look at thoracic, you got to look at everything. And then you can do distractive forces on that hip to help possibly regenerate the cartilage. But you've got to look at physical, chemical, and emotional stressors, because when you're talking about the hip and the knee and the ankle, that pelvis is going to be off. And that pelvis houses half of that autonomic nervous system. So your resting, digesting, and repairing is going to be off. And it's hugely important that you look at the entire structure. That means looking at the thoracic area, looking at the neck area, looking at the lumbar. And this means static and stress x-rays of everything. And then you have to stabilize the pelvis. Look at our hip pelvic videos. Hugely important. A trochanter support will be absolutely recommended, but you've got to identify where the problem is. So it's not just that hip cartilage that's an issue. You've got to look at why the abnormal force loading changed that force loading on that hip. It could be a problem, an old problem with the left side causing your entire body weight to shift. So it really requires the doctor to be a detective. However, the majority of doctors today are not detectives. Pretty much hurt here, that's problem. No, you got to look at that. It takes years for cartilage to be damaged or remodeled. There may even be remodeling of the bone. You've got to look at everything. And then once you've identified the problem with the lumbar, thoracic, or pelvis, to identify the abnormal force loading on that right side, then you can correct that, balance it out. You change the force loading, and then you might have an opportunity to have the cartilage start to regenerate. And then look at our knee and foot health videos, because you've got to pay attention to the biomechanics of the foot, the ankle, the knee, in order to stabilize that pelvis. And that pelvis, remember, houses that rest, digest, and repair, that parasympathetic nervous system, half of that. And so this is hugely important that you address the cause of it. Question 4 from Mobs62. I have weakness in my left knee when my foot turned out performing a lunge. Oh, almost no pain if I drink more water than coffee. Brilliant. Okay, this is self-detective work. It's exactly what you're going to see. Now, all the joints in the body are hydraulic. All of them are hydraulic. So the more fluid you have, the better it is. that means that if your blood is thick, and that means increased viscosity, and this can happen from any type of physical, chemical, or emotional stress. Dehydration, big time chemical stressor. So, and coffee is a diuretic, even though it's organic coffee, is like a vitamin to the thyroid. And I totally recommend you reading Dr. Ray Peat's work on the thyroid and coffee. So I'm a big fan of organic coffee. And water is hugely important. 50% of your overall body weight in ounces a day, based on, your usage and the environment, you've got to have it. But with the foot turned out, that means that you're activating the vastus medialis, okay? And if vastus medialis is weak, that means that you may need to do a patellar tracking test. That means you're laying down, you hook that patella, pull it from the medial to lateral aspect and that's going to check the vastus medialis. Hook that patella and pull it from the lateral to medial, superior to inferior, and that's going to check vastus lateralis. And then look at our exercises on how to strengthen the vastus medialis and vastus lateralis. It's interesting, too, that when you're going down a slope, like downstairs or a ramp, if you're going downstairs, typically, and there is pain, that indicates possible vastus medialis dysfunction. If you're going up and it hurts, it could possibly mean vastus lateralis malfunction, because there's a lot of different factors. That's why you have to look at being a detective, not just a doctor. Okay, so it never is. It's like Indiana Jones. X marks the spot, and X never does. Okay, occasionally it does, but not really. In a very rare instance, is where it hurts is the problem. You've got to look at what the dysfunction is there. Is it patellar tracking? Is it loss of dorsiflexion of the foot? Is there going to be a pelvic instability? Is there going to be a lumbar dysfunction creating an imbalance of that quadricep? And why? If there is a lumbar dysfunction, what's the cause of that? Lateral thoracic deviation, loss of lumbar curve. There's going to be a whole host of factors. But knowing that when you drink more water, that it's less of an issue, well, almost no pain. That means that the joints are hydraulic, and it could be absorption, it could be altered mechanics. But look at everything, and you're going to find the solution, my friend. Question 5 from Laura D. Caneva. Dr. Bergman, can you please do something about sciatic pain? Went to an osteopath for this, and it's now giving me more trouble than I went before. Thank you. Super common. And this is sciatic pain. Sciatic has the nerve origin in the lumbar and the sacrum area. And also, when there's pain there can be a fixation. Now, the difference between an osteopathic adjustment and a chiropractic adjustment, an osteopath is going to do more mobilization. Okay, a chiropractic adjustment done correctly is more specific. That's why it's called an adjustment, not a manipulation. Osteopaths do manipulation, and they tend to be more global. I mean, both osteopaths and chiropractors can have a different skill level and a different awareness of this. But it sounds like that the osteopath probably adjusted the pelvis because it's fantastic. Big, easy, crank it over. Except if the pelvis is hypermobile, it's going to aggravate it. And a lot of times when someone's adjusting the pelvis, when it's really a lumbar issue, you can have the aggravation. You can even have the most common answer or that I've given to patients is when your chiropractor or osteopath gave you the adjustment, it felt good, but by the time you got home, it was hurting again. Bam, that's a clue that they're adjusting an area that's hypermobile and not the source of it. So number one, you got to get a set of x-rays on the pelvis, the lumbar, and I mean static x-rays where you're standing up weight bearing, then weight bearing, you bend to one side, weight bearing, you bend to the other side, but you got to look at the entire structure, thoracic, cervical, everything to identify where the problem is. But once you've identified the problem, be specific, because it's never sciatic pain from compromised sciatic nerve. why is it compromised? If there's a disc injury, why is that disc malfunctioning? It has to do from an abnormal force loading or altered biomechanics that create that disc, because the discs are 70% fluid. And if there's an alteration in biomechanics or movement, those discs, particularly in the lumbar, have a horrible blood supply. They get their nutrients through movement or imbibition. And if you have a past trauma that altered the movement, that disc can get compressed. And so, they'll do an MRI and say, oh, it's a disc bulge or disc compression or disc this. But that still doesn't answer why that disc is dysfunctional. That's why you have to look at the entire structure. And that's where a good hunk of the healthcare world is missing it. They're not looking at why that disc is dysfunctional. And once you do the entire assessment, look at the entire spine, then you're going to find the source of it. Now, if your question wasn't answered on this video, please visit the drbvip.com site. God bless you. Stay healthy, my friends.